Will the Braddock family be brought together or be torn apart by the Otherworld's Tournament of Swords? Let's hop into the pages of Excalibur issue number 13, a continuation to the X of Swords event, and find out together, shall we? So then, we spend a good chunk of this issue at the Starlight Citadel, home of High Priestess Saturnine, aka the woman who called this big sword tournament in the first place, a conflict that the three Braddock siblings actually find themselves all on different sides of at the moment. Jamie Braddock, now the new Mad King of Avalon, has been called to the Citadel by Saturnine. Brian Braddock, the former Captain Britain, is there too with the Sword of Might, a magic relic tied to the deep history of Captain Britain, and also one of the magic swords needed for the upcoming tournament. How about that? Both Brian and his sister, the current Captain Britain, Betsy, were named in Saturnine's prophecy, and it quickly becomes apparent perhaps the only reason these two were named in the first place is because Saturnine wanted this brother-sister duo to fight each other so she can once again regain control over the Captain Britain legacy. Speaking of legacy, it's in this issue we see that the Starlight Citadel actually has a giant memorial to all the Captain Britain Corps members who fell during the events of the incursion. Now, isn't that fun? Teenie Howard, the co-architect of this X of Swords story, dropping some really fun references to Hickman's last big Marvel event. Tensions come to a major head when Betsy refuses to take the Sword of Might, seeing it as a sign of weakness when she made the historically correct and heroic decision choosing the Amulet of Right, another very important artifact in the long history of Captain Britain. Which, in the times of Merlin the Magician and even his daughter Roma, choosing the amulet would be the ultimate deciding factor in choosing who the new Captain Britain would be. Saturnine, on the other hand, sees every other Captain Britain, including Betsy, as a false pretender. This leads to a big blowout argument wherein Brian argues that his sister doesn't even live in the United Kingdom anymore, and perhaps all her time on that Krakoa island has turned her feral and against her own family and duty. Now, despite being at each other's throats all day, Brian and Betsy do actually manage to bury the hatchet fairly quickly when they hear their brother, the King Jamie, attacked while he was sleeping. His assailants turn out to be other Captain Britons, false pretenders too as far as Saturnine is concerned, but hey, they also just so happen to look like British versions of the current Excalibur team. In a funny twist, Jamie didn't actually need to be saved at all because, well, he's pretty damn powerful on his own already, but the situation quickly turns from saving his life to trying to save the life of his attackers. Saturnine naturally tries to use this chaos to further the divide in the family and bring Brian closer to her side. She even empowers him to take the mantle of Captain Avalon using the Sword of Might. Betsy refuses to play this non-stop game of interdimensional backstabbing and opts to use some of the magic that Apocalypse had taught her to break the Amulet of Right so no one can have it. For this, poor Betsy gets thrown in the dungeon, but just when you think this story might actually have a sad ending, it's ultimately revealed that Betsy, Jamie, and Brian have actually been working together this whole time. They weren't actually fighting, they were just pretending to, and doing a pretty goddamn good job of it, mind you. The ultimate goal of this big con game was for Saturnine to feel comfortable enough around Brian to bring out the Starlight Sword, one of the fabled weapons, to try and make him her champion. Betsy quickly swoops on in and claims the sword for herself, while Saturnine was indisposed with a married man. All of this means that even after her lying and cheating with the prophecy, the Braddocks still ended up winning the day and gaining not one but two swords for the Krakoan cause as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Excalibur issue number 13, and oh man, did Teenie Howard pack a lot into this single issue. I'll freely admit I dropped off on Excalibur early on, not because I didn't like the book, but only because I had so much room on my pull list, and honestly, considering how important all of this ended up being to the overall story of X of Swords, I kinda wish I read more. In fact, as much as I did ultimately enjoy seeing this story and its raw look at a dysfunctional family trying to pull off a big con game, I cannot help but feel I only would have liked it more if I actually knew more of what was going on. Still though, if you're a fan of Excalibur, I think you're going to walk away from this one really, really happy. And as far as everyone else, if you haven't read Word 1 on Excalibur, you may feel a little lost, but the main takeaway is that the Braddocks rule and that Saturnine is just as much an enemy to Krakoa as the Four Horsemen are. Furthermore, I wouldn't be shocked if after this embarrassment that she suffered in this issue, Saturnine herself might not try and get involved in the big sword fight at the end of this. Overall, I'd give this an 8 out of 10.
Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.